season right now and World Series. I mean, it's just there's like 2 weeks in October that if you're a sports fan, it's hockey season, it's NASCAR season, it's soccer season. It is literally everything season right now. This is the most unbeatable time of year, and it's not stiflingly, stupidly hot outside.
Oh no, it's beautiful.
I take
I
all
thought they
this
said
I
it was
get.
supposed to rain. Did I just say something? It's supposed to rain like
100% on
today and tomorrow, going into the weekend, even till I guess Saturday. At least that's projections as of right now.
I got this app on my phone, and it's supposed to
You
start.
got a weather app?
I got the weather app.
Oh, man.
It's just like one of the Nashville severe weather people call it the crap app. I've got the crap app. The crap app says 90% tomorrow, 80% Friday, 50% on Saturday. Then another run real similar to what we're doing now, except even cooler outside. But it's going to be dang November after Sunday. I mean, it's just time.
Yeah. It's time for winter. Yeah, man. Speaking of that, man, I had to turn my freaking heat on.
I haven't done it yet.
Oh, you haven't done it yet?
No.
I had to turn my heat on because it was cold outside, well, at least in one area of the house. And then I had to turn the heat on like at, 70. I kept it still low, but, just to give it a little, turned on a little fireplace just to get the area and then turned it back off because then it got hot. But, yeah. Yeah, so, I mean, man. So you haven't turned on your heat yet?
No.
Yeah,
it was
in the nighttime, man. I like it chilly. I like it chilly willy.
You like my house right now?
Yeah, I like it chilly willy.
All right, I'm going to put this question on Blaine and Mickey. We discussed this before the show. I put out like a GIF this morning of like two guys holding guns at each other. I said all dads with the thermostat right now in the heat setting.
Yeah, that's what made me think.
So I'm going to ask this question, and you can even call in. Have you turned your heat on yet? Because some of you take this very personally. I know people. Lucas will remember this because he remembers everything.
Well, he's young. He's got a lot of memories up there.
The two baseball players who wouldn't leave the field after the national anthem, and finally the ump sent them off. This has been a few years ago now. They just would stand there after the anthem. They both had that bit.
You've stumped me.
Oh, man.
Somebody's going to tweet us. But it was the bit for two different guys on two different teams. Then they played each other that they wouldn't leave after the World Series and neither after the national anthem, and neither one of them would leave. I want to say it may have even been last year in the World Series. Maybe it's one of the Dodgers guys.
The Dodgers, yeah.
All right, somebody will need.
In the meantime, though.
Okay.
Yeah, the Braves took down the mighty Astros. Yeah, my man Valdez did not have a good day. That wasn't starting pitcher, right? Yeah, that's his name.
Yep.
Yeah, and Morton had a great day, except that he broke his fibula and still struck guys out. How the heck did that happen? And they got up 2-0, lead off batter for the Braves. Said, what's his Solar? Is that how you pronounce it? I want to make sure I get all my, people be making fun of us all the time. Soler, see? Soler. Yeah, I knew it wasn't the way it looked like, it would be sounding. Soler. Yeah, Soler. Like, how do you know "suh"? When you say "suh," that's S-A, right? Mm-hmm. And it's S-O. That's why I knew I was going to do it. And guess what? My wife has a Spanish background. She got some Spanish in her middle name is Cortez. She told me this morning that it's Soler. And I said, no, I really wanted to say it's Solar.
He played for Brett's team, the Royals, so he's in the
that's
know,
how you know
yeah.
him so well? Okay, cool. Wait, what are you doing back here? You just having a good time?
Yeah, I'm teaching him a few things.
Oh, okay. Uh-oh. Watch out, man. Sometime he'll try to trip you up, man, and set you up, man, for failure, man. Push the wrong button, man. Nah,
I'm no JT, but we'll see what I can do.
Nah. So it was a really good game. You knew once the Astros left, I think it was 2 or 3. The bases were loaded early, and they didn't get anything. So you said, they in trouble. So I dozed off at fifth inning, and then I woke up and saw it was 6-2. It was 5-0 when I was done. So, yeah, the Braves got it done, as Mike Keefe would say, again. I know a lot of people happy today for this Braves fan, especially to live here in Nashville.
Oh, the Braves are the home team for Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm a Cardinals guy. I know there's Cubs people here. The Braves are undoubtedly. So if you said the Titans, the Predators, or the Nashville SC, or there's no Nashville SC, they can't win a championship, but the Braves could. There's a bunch of people around here would say, okay, I'll take that.
It was, Adam Duvall. That's what hit me. Yeah, he hit a 2-run homer. to make it 3-0, and then they just went off after that. Yeah.
Charlie Morton, what Blaine was talking about, he threw 16 pitches and retired the side after his leg was broken.
Punched out Altuve.
Well, sure did. It looked like he was going to go down.
Well, he fractured his fibula, correct?
Yeah.
Which is, man, that's pretty impressive because, luckily he didn't have to run anywhere, but he was able, because you would feel the fracture.
Oh.
Yeah, you would feel the fracture, or it would come apart while you're running, just, because it could be just, cracked.
Oh.
Yeah, but that was pretty impressive. He didn't want to come out either. Yeah.
We got the manager. Here's Brian Snicker talking about his pitcher, Charlie Morton.
He wanted to keep going because he was down in the tunnel and he was throwing against the wall, and it said, it's just kind of hurts more when I run. I feel good when I throw. I mean, just the fact that he wanted to keep going. That's Charlie. I mean, he wants to be on this stage, and God bless him. I hate it for him. Really hate it for him. He's such a great person. Great person and teammate. I do. I really hate it for him because I know he was really looking forward to this run with us.
Man, I thought he was talking about Mickey at first, but then
no, he's talking about this. Yeah. He's 37 years old.
Yeah.
Was banged up, I guess, a lot earlier in his career.
He's throwing mid-90s after that.
Yeah, throwing gas now.
But you hear what he said, though. Just what I just said. When he started running, it bothered him. But if he was just on the mound, just standing there and pitching, he could do that.
They said he was apologizing in the clubhouse and in the locker room to players.
Said he kept walking around saying, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." No, dude, your leg got broken.
Really?
Dude, you still got 3 people out after that. You held it down as long as you could. But Blaine talking about this, when you'd run, you'd feel the bone was unattached.
Yeah.
A lot of people kind of gagged a little bit.
Because then you'd be like, because as an athlete, I've seen that happen to other guys.
But remind people, this is the guy who was standing next to Burton Elrod on the field and was like, "Does my arm look right to you?" And he's like, "No, Blaine, your arm is broken."
Well, I didn't say anything to him. He said something to me.
He just said something to you.
I wouldn't have said anything about
he
my
said,
arm.
"Hey, is your arm okay? Let me pull on it," right?
Yeah. Paul Mason just asked me that earlier today. I was here at 12, and he's like, "Hey, have you ever?" I said, "Yeah. Broke my forearm. I didn't even know. If I wasn't sitting next to the doctor, I would have never known."
So he just do like a double take? Just looked over.
No, he looked at my arm, and I had a knot, a big
Yeah.
knot on there on my forearm. And he said, "Okay, let me grab your hand." And I said, "What are you doing?" He said, "No, just shake my hand." And then he twisted my wrist.
Oh,
then he said, "Do you feel anything?" And I go, "Nope. I don't feel anything."
Is that true, or are you lying?
No, this is all true. And no, this is what I said to him. I said, "No, I didn't feel anything." My adrenaline rush. It was like fourth quarter. We're playing the Raiders in Memphis. Oh. And then he grabs my hand again, and he twists it again. And he said, "Did you feel anything?" I go, "No. There's nothing going on. It's just a bruise." He says, "Okay, it's a bruised, broken forearm." I go, "Wow." And so then he wouldn't let me go back in. They took my helmet and hid it.
Oh, they did that to you?
Yeah, they did that. They did that because I told him that he didn't know what he's talking about, that my arm was not broken. Meanwhile, on Monday, I get plate 6 screws on Monday and then play Sunday, the following Sunday.
Okay.
Yeah, you get a broken forearm now with a plate screws, you're out 4 to 6 weeks for sure. So that's when they should have held me, for me. That's why when I'm talking about these stories, I'm talking about myself. Yeah, because I know how it is when you're in the moment. I was like, I'm not missing this game. My arm? My finger is broke? Really? I can still run. That's why I said if Morton had to run.
Yeah.
I've seen guys, Mark Robb, my partner in crime, in the AFC Championship versus Jaguars broke his fibula earlier in the game, and when he got in the open field and tried to chase down Fred Taylor, bam!
Oh.
Looked like he got shot. He was limping, failed. Broken fibula, plate 6 screws in his, shin or area. That's where your fibula is at. Yeah. There's no way, if you had to do anything as regard to running, that you can do it. Impossible. Because I saw him try to do it. It looked horrible. Meanwhile, Fred Taylor was just like smoke. He was gone.
He's hard enough to catch if your legs aren't broken.
Right. Exactly.
Okay,
so
let me ask you.
It's still pretty remarkable, though.
Let me ask you this. So you're on the sidelines. You're in Memphis, which is, I know that's funny to say. It was an away game, even though it was home. You're 3 hours.
It was actually, I think, our first game.
What?
You may want to look that up because you know more stuff than I do.
What do they do with you? That may be right. What do they do with you? Like, you can't go back in the rest of the game.
Well, it was fourth quarter. It was at the end.
Did he put like an ace bandage around it, or did they put stem on it, or did they just like put ice on it and it's like, let's just fight?
No, they just wrapped it with ice.
Okay.
And that wasn't until I got to the lock. Oh, they might have done it on the sideline.
Okay.
I don't recall, but that's all you can do.
And then you just get home and then they x-ray it and all
I
that.
still didn't believe him. I thought he was – I still thought Barnett was crazy on that one. I was like, man, how am I sitting here with a bruise on my arm? I said, you know what? I think I've had this like for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might have happened in the first quarter because I really tried to I forgot the running back they had. Oh, man. It was a little jitterbug guy. He's a pastor now out there on the West Coast. Guy was fast. Kaufman.
Napoleon Kaufman.
Yeah. Oh, I tried
out
to.
of Washington.
I literally, he was coming through the line. I said, oh, this little dude, I'm going to just, boom, I'm going to hit him. And he's going to be like, what, into the mall. Man, I hit it right on his helmet. Bam. And I was like, I think that's when it happened.
Man, you just broke my arm.
No, I didn't say that. I had the opportunity to say, hey, you okay, little fella? Since so many people say that to me, so I finally got to say that.
Little.
Yeah, but he had juice to him now.
He was a real good player. He was like All-American at Washington.
Yeah, he was a pretty good player.
Yeah, they had two guys named
fast,
Napoleon. They had Napoleon Kaufman and they had Napoleon McCallum, who had one of the most
From,
gruesome injuries.
Navy, right?
Navy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I remember, but that wasn't during my time.
Okay, yeah, that was before.
A little before. I know you get mixed up a little bit.
No, I know.
No, I mean, people do. Because somebody, hey, man, how was it playing against Bo Jackson? Really? Really? Whoa.
But you did play against Jerry Rice, Joe Montana.
Yeah.
I mean,
I got
Dan Marino, whose balls whistled.
Right, yeah. Well, Warren Moon, too. Yeah. Well, at the end of their careers, my first year, yeah. I even Elway, my rookie year. Remember, that's the guy I told you they said he can't throw it across the field
anymore.
Yeah, and they threw it right over my head. And I come to the sideline first. I said, I thought you said he couldn't do that. He said, I made a mistake. Oh, thanks for on my behalf.
Right.
Make sure you tell the coaches that when we
watch film.
Yeah. You told me to just run to the other side. There's no way when he rolls out right that he could throw a 80-yard bomb the other way. Yeah. I don't think he had my back.
All right, we got to take a break. Rhett Bryan is in. Austin Stanley going to join us at a later date. Jordan.
He stood us up.
He stood us up. Rhett Bryan is he's going to come in and hit a pinch hit grand slam, though, right here to use a World Series analogy. We'll talk Titans with the man who runs Titans Radio next. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone.
The Titans play here. 104.5.
Glad you brought that up because Mike Keith asked me on the Mike Vrabel show Monday night, hey, can you remember a better 2-game home stretch in history? And I was like, there's 2 windows that
in the regular season or preseason?
Regular season. And home back-to-back home games where it was just huge wins. The 2002 Titans that had I preface it by saying this. There was my favorite Steve McNair game was right before this 2-game run, and it was the one in the Meadowlands where they won in overtime. And then they came home, beat the Colts the following Sunday pretty handily, and then the following Monday night they beat the New England Patriots on Monday Night Football. And the only other one that I think is comparable is the Monday Night Football, Vince's rookie year in 2006, down to the Giants 21-0, came back and won that one because Pac-Man Jones had a fantastic game in that. And then the following Sunday was the Indy 60-yard Baronis field goal.
Which would have been good from 70.
Yes. And it was, which is amazing because it was cold and windy that day, and that thing was a K-ball that must have felt like a cinder block. But I swear, it's like he could have kicked it out of the stadium. But this last 2 games in 6 days is as good as I can remember since those 2 occasions in 2 separate seasons.
And for people who don't know, if Rhett and Mike Keith don't know it, then it can't be known.
Say that about Mike. I don't know if you can say that about me. I mean, I've been around, but I don't retain it like Mike does. Mike is a freak of nature. That's why Keith Bullock calls him the encyclopedia.
Well, listening to their show, listening to them, Mike will ask Keith a question, and Keith will go, I don't have any idea. And then Mike will go, okay, this is what you did in that game.
And he's like, of course you knew that. 'Cause
right.
You're the encyclopedia.
The encyclopedia. But if that tells anybody, because, now 8 days ago, whatever it was, 9 days ago, before that series of before that series of games started, it was like, okay, gosh, if they could just win one of these two.
Yeah.
Well, then they won both of them in 6 days. And the win over the Chiefs, I get it. The Chiefs are struggling on defense. I totally get that. They exploited everything that they were struggling with. Every bit of it they exploited. The turnovers, the ability to get to Mahomes and harass him, to get up a lead and force him to feel like he's got to make a throw. That was the one that got picked. They exploited him in every way. But they were scoring 3.34 points per possession.
Mm-hmm.
And they scored 3 in the game.
The Titans had more quarterback sacks with 4 than the Kansas City Chiefs had in points. Let that sink in. That's amazing. Yeah. And how about this? To tell you the kind of year Derrick Henry's having, he's number 4 in scoring in the NFL. The 3 in front of him tied for first place with 63 points are all kickers. He's the only non-kicker in the top 10 in scoring through 7 weeks of play in the National Football League.
Oh, I got a stat for you.
Give it to me,
Tell
BB.
me if I'm right or wrong. I know you guys are stacked.
I mean, you've got to know it.
Derrick Henry has rushed for more yardage than 25 NFL teams.
I believe that's correct, yes. I believe that's right.
Right now.
I think I heard that
so
same
only
thing.
7 teams have more rushing yardage than one individual.
And if
that
he has,
is insane.
And if he has a buck and change, was it $1.23 or whatever it is to get to 1,000 on Sunday? He becomes the 11th player in NFL history to have 1,000 yards in his first 8 games. The last person to do that was DeMarco Murray with the Cowboys in 2014. Oh. But yeah, to your point about the defense in this, PFF, Pro Football Focus, had an interesting stat. The Titans, over 75% of their defensive snaps were played in zone defense these last 2 games, and it worked well. But it worked well because that front is really starting to cook. Danico Autry, my goodness. And then the more Bud Dupree you can get, and then here's Harold Landry and Big Jeff and the rest. I mean, I've really been impressed with what they've been able to do because we all were scared to death going into this thing Sunday. And then you find out that Chris Jackson's not going, Amani Hooker's not going.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, boy. But they help mask that by all that consistent 4-man pressure. If you can do it good with 4 men, it's proven to be a good thing. And this is exactly one of the reasons why I think they beat Josh Allen on Monday night and Patrick Mahomes the next Sunday.
Yeah, Rhett Ryan, our guest executive producer of Titans Radio, hanging out on Blaine and Mickey.
Yes, well, I guess what has been your worst take that you've heard with the Titans beating the Chiefs?
Oh, I think it's the Stephen A. Smith take.
What's that?
He said that the Titans, he doesn't think that they have a great ceiling going forward because Ryan Tannehill's the quarterback. And the playmaker, Michael Irvin, set him straight and said, no, that ain't going to work. You're not seeing the quarterback I see. He's like, now, look, I know he's not Patrick Mahomes, John Elway, whatever you want, but he ain't chopped liver either. But Stephen A. Smith said that the other day. I was like, that's interesting. Hot take just to say stuff, I guess, because it's like, do you watch what they're doing? Because think about this.
Stay in your lane.
Tannehill, that Buffalo game, he hit 9 straight passes to finish that one, and then completed his first 11 or 12 of this one. He is red hot. And it's good to know that they're doing the right things to him getting the ball out quicker, whatever, and getting it to the right receivers, whatever. Because he's been sacked 1 time in 2 games, which thrills me because they were going down a path I didn't want them to in terms of how many times they got after him.
Well, some fans asked me this question. I don't know if I knew the answer, so it stunned me, and I froze and thought about it. And I want to hear what you think.
Okay,
does beating the Bills and the Chiefs in a 7-day window make you feel better about the loss to the Jets?
Yes.
And I was like,
I can answer immediately. Yes, it does.
Why?
Because, first of all, that's in the rearview mirror. I can't do anything about it. You can't do anything about it. And if you can go to Indianapolis on Sunday, and this is going to be tough because the Colts know how important this is. They know that their season maybe is basically over if they lose this one, and they have life and playoff possibilities continuing going forward if they win it. If you get out of Lucas Oil Stadium on Sunday 6-2, knowing that you're going into November and December immediately where it really counts, you can set yourself up for something good. And again, a good bulk of these guys that are on injured reserve with the Titans, a lot of them are designated for return. A lot of, there's only a handful of them that are out for good. So if you can get some guys back, just keep playing ball. So I say, and look, I hated that loss. God, it was awful. We travel, we go do it. I wanted to leave just like everybody else wanted to turn it off, but you can't. But, it's just one of those things. And I think there's an anomaly game for every team every year. It's usually in week 1. Because, think about this. Tomorrow night, one of the best Thursday night football matchups you're going to see is Green Bay goes to Arizona. That's going to be a barn burner. But Green Bay in week 1 in a weirdo deal because the Saints couldn't play in New Orleans because of Hurricane Ida, play in Jacksonville, and they turned the ball over 3 times, and famous Jameis has 5 touchdowns, and they got smoked. But they've never looked back.
Yeah. Well, those first games are always tough. They're unpredictable. It doesn't give you a clue of
but the
where
Jets
the teams
thing,
are going. Yeah, that was tough. Do you think the Chiefs game was the best game in totality under Vrabel era?
I can't think of anything else that would be
outside of the playoffs, naturally.
Yeah, I wouldn't think of anything else that would be that dominant because, you're talking about a 31-point average team on offense that you held to 3 points. You did it on special teams with the coffin corner kicks with a Brett Kern that returned from IR, thank goodness. And then your defense, we've outlined kind of what they've done in this thing, and then your offense gets clicking. Steve Spagnuolo just sold out to stop Derrick Henry in the run, but it left guys open on the receiving end, and they got burned. I mean, in the Vrabel era, I'd say that's probably the most complete win there is.
But don't you have to do that? Because if you don't, then the teams will have to be able to run and throw the ball.
Yeah.
You want to force them into one thing and say,
Sure.
hey, we got to ride it out. Because if you can run the football, you can throw the football.
That's
Trust
right.
me.
And if you had a bunch of drops, or heaven forbid you had somebody hurt, then maybe you were successful at that. And you're right, because he got 29 carries for 86 yards. But and that's the thing about this game Sunday. The Colts are running the you-know-what out of this ball, and that's what they're going to try to do immediately in this thing. And they're doing it well. That 2-game win streak they're in, averaging about 150 yards rushing on the ground. And it's not all Jonathan Taylor. We know what Nyheim Hines can
Who was
do.
number 2 behind Derrick Henry by about what? How many yards?
3 miles worth. I don't know.
He's got like 579.
almost 200 yards.
But he's been on a tear. And they're dangerous. God,
they
they're
should be on a
dangerous.
3-game streak. I watched them versus the Ravens.
Yes.
I could not believe.
Yes.
I mean,
Lost a 19-point lead or
Lamar
whatever?
just did some unbelievable things, but they look really good. They look totally different than they did against us.
Well,
they are much better, and we are much better.
Yes,
so
and
this is going to be an interesting matchup because they're in a must-win.
No question.
So they got to be in this playoff frame of mind.
No question. And Carson Wentz was playing on 2 bad legs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The wheels are better now. He's thrown 11 touchdowns, only 1 interception. And then their defense, the back end of that defense, it's about as banged up as the Titans secondary is. But they've got so many good guys in that front 7. I mean, we know what Darius Leonard can do, who is a turnover machine. They got 16 turnovers forced right now through 7 weeks of play, number 1 in the NFL. So, I mean, you've got to be able to take care of the ball. But this is, I mean, we keep saying it every week because it's the Bills on Monday night. It's huge. Or it's the Patrick Mahomes, the
Or it's
Chiefs.
AFC.
Again,
It's
it's huge
Oh,
because
this
of
is-
what it means in this
Well,
thing.
they could take complete control of the AFC.
You could win it on
Yeah.
Halloween, Blaine, because
this could be big. like that.
you should be able to sweep the Texans.
Mm-hmm.
And even if you split with Jacksonville, because they are miraculously much better in December, you're 5-1 in the division. You've done it.
Yeah.
You could win the division on Halloween. That's the message.
Well, then maybe Tannehill will get the props he deserves. Where would you say Tannehill is in Oiler Titan history, based off of just where he is today? And I don't even know his numbers.
I don't
really
either
think
off
he's
the top of my head, but-
underappreciated in what he
Sure.
actually does. And they could say it's the king, but anytime you have a great running back, if you don't use your running back and use that as a play action pass to develop the pass, he still has to make the throws. He's
That's
still
right.
getting hit. I mean, he was leading the league in sacks. He's still
and-
putting up numbers.
Without looking at his numbers, I would say his career as a Titan, he's probably still over 100 in passer rating.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say his yards per play are still 7 or 8 yards a play, which is ridiculous. And his touchdown to interception ratio is good. I mean, listen, I'd put him right up there. He's inching towards the good names in this. I mean, it starts with Warren Moon, and then you have Steve Mack 9, and but yeah, he's got to be in that neighborhood because he's put together a great body of work in the time he's been here.
Especially if you just say, what about Titans only quarterbacks? Because Oilers, you got George Blanda, you got Dan Pastorini.
Well, then it's
you got
him and
Warren
Steve
Moon.
McNair.
That's it,
That's
isn't
pretty
it?
much it.
That's it.
Yeah.
We're on with the infamous Rhett Bryan, yes, executive director of Titans Radio. Yeah, let's say that.
We got Scotty on the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline. He just wants to join the discussion. That's what this is supposed to be, just a big old sports discussion every day. Scotty, welcome in.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir, Scotty. Beam me up.
Hey, one of the things I wanted to bring up, the defensive line is doing great, and the exposure that the Buccaneers brought last year, because when all these quarterbacks nowadays, like Josh Allen, when they break out, it goes into like backyard football, and our defensive backs are adapting to that. And I think that's one of the biggest things and the contributor to it, because we got exposed last year. Because the first game, we dominated. The second game, they killed us because they shut down the run and we couldn't stop their backyard football. And I think that is a good contributor to what's going on with the Titans defense right now.
Hold on one
Scotty.
second. Oh, he hung up? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Well, here's the thing, and Scotty's right to a point, because Tampa did it in the Super Bowl, and I've been saying it for weeks. If you can bring 4 and play zone coverage, and then plaster that, and maybe that merges into man-to-man coverage, and you can hold them, that's how you beat Patrick Mahomes. Now the difference is, Josh Allen has designed runs. Mahomes doesn't. He just roll out and flick it or do whatever. I mean, he just But no, there's a lot to what he's saying there. And that I've noticed it as each game got closer to this one that just happened, how guys stopped blitzing him and just started covering stuff up and bringing 4.
Got another guy who wants
Okay,
to.
another guy. Well, before we take the call, though, when we take the call, we got to make sure we ask him this question first. But I'm gonna ask Rhett. I want to hear what he has to say. Have you turned on your heat yet?
No.
I would have bet a no from Red. I would have bet.
I think our callers probably are the same way, especially the guy that just had a.
All right.
He look like he's a heat wave.
Brock and Brentwood on the Mark Spain
Sound
Real
right.
Estate Hotline. All right. Well, we have to ask you a question before you bring your thought. Have you turned on your heat yet?
I had to turn some space heaters on. I did. I'm kind of thin and I get cold easily, guys. So
Yeah, me too. I had to turn it on yesterday just briefly, but it was just enough to get it right where I needed it, and I turned it off.
All right, Brock. No judgment here. What you got, man?
Thank you, Mickey. I enjoy your guys' show. And Blaine, I got to tell you how much I appreciate your expertise and being on the show. It really gives us fans for the Titans a much better understanding and insight, and you don't hold anything back with your words. Blaine, I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
With that said, everybody's talking about the Kansas City game being, that Buffalo game to me was a tougher war. I think Buffalo down the road is going to be, in our path. I don't think KC will be. And the way the Buffalo game started, we were backed up real bad and had to crawl out of there those first couple, 2-3 possessions, and then we fought the rest of the game. I know Kansas City won a championship, and that's the big, that's the shiny game that looks good. But that Buffalo game to me was more of a war. And if we play like that, down the stretch, playoff games, that's what we're going to want to do. With that said, going into not Baltimore, Indianapolis, it's going to be interesting for me to watch. It's going to be a close game. I don't think we're going to win because the league wants the parity. They don't want people to run away with division. So it's going to be interesting for me to watch the referee calls on these close plays that determine drives and such. Anyway, I'll hang up and listen. I appreciate the time.
Thank you, Brock.
Thank you,
for the
Brock.
call,
We have
man.
Carl Cheffers this weekend, who's usually pretty straight down the middle on calls. But you know who I want to see in this thing? Danico Autry. He's going back to Indy for the first time, and he is just at a fevered pitch. I want to see him disrupt some things in this. But no, now here's what Brock's saying. Well, yeah, that was a different game, a different set of circumstances, and I think Buffalo's better than Kansas City right now with what they've been doing. And it didn't end Buffalo's season. They're going to be around down towards the end. If Kansas City keeps playing the way they are, they're not going to be there at the end. But this one this Sunday, wow.
Right now, if you had to rank AFC teams, who are your top three?
I'd say Baltimore. I would say Buffalo. And I don't know who I'd put in 3. I mean, maybe the Titans at 3, and somewhere in there, the Bengals with a bullet. Because the Bengals they're starting to play.
Yeah.
But I don't know that I buy it.
Oh?
I don't know that I buy it. But they're playing defense because they had 5 quarterback sacks the other day. But Burrow and Chase did it in college. They're doing it in the NFL.
Yeah. One more before we let
All
you
right.
go. Our expert on the Titans here. Will the Titans make a trade before the deadline on November 2nd?
I don't believe so.
I'm not going to ask you who.
No,
but you don't think they're
I don't believe so. And, of course, as soon as I say that, he'll make 3 trades. But, I don't think so. Time will only tell at 3 o'clock next Tuesday afternoon. About the time you guys are going into hour 2 of Blaine and Mickey. So there you go.
Bam. Blaine and Mickey. Rhett Bryan. Bam. Always great to have him at Rhett B Tennessee on Twitter. And then, of course, the guy who makes all your Titans radio dreams come true. And as I always say, if you're not turning down the TV and listening to Titans radio, you are absolutely doing it wrong. Rhett, good stuff, man.
All right, gentlemen.
Always great, man. Thank you.
The one and only Rhett Bryan. When we come back, Blaine brought this up. There are actually 2 possible trade scenarios out there for the Titans. We'll throw both of them out there, both from CBS. Jordan Dajani coming up in the second hour of the show. We'll discuss these with him as well. But 2 names, one that you Vol fans know well. That's next on Blaine and Mickey.
J. Martin Ramon.
Oh, man, we appreciate you, brother. Keep on rolling.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys.
Indeed. That's oh, Lord. I just sniped him. Ola, did you snipe him? Ola, you're back. Say what you were saying there at the end. I'm sorry.
Man, I wanted to say tighten up, man.
There you go.
Tomorrow from 6 to 10 on 104.5 The Zone.
I know there are people listening who are like, yeah, baseball, I don't get it. It's too slow, whatever. But one thing about baseball, when it comes to trade deadline, you know it's about to be some stuff happening.
Oh, yeah.
And
Well,
NBA's got that
NBA,
vibe,
NHL,
too.
Yeah, but NFL is never getting it. You know, the NFL trades more now than they've ever had, and it's still like at a turtle's pace.
It's like a trade a week or something, it seems like. You know, some guy for a 5th-round pick or something. And like you said, it's a turtle's pace, but it's even more than it used to be, which was never.
Never, yeah. And a lot of it has to do with COVID, you know, the practice squad. I think, you know, this people want instant success, and I feel like certain players can help them. So just never know. Never want to say never. You know, Rhett said they probably won't, and I would lean towards what he's saying too. But, man, I sure would like them to make a trade. I don't even know at what position, to be honest. I know, you know, first thing you want to say is cornerback. But remember, I've said you don't need an elite corner. You just need solid corner if you have an elite pass rush.
Which leads
so,
us.
see me, I would go for a defensive lineman. There you go.
Which leads us to this. There are 2 trade proposals, both on CBS Sports, completely independent of each other, 2 different articles. Here's the first one. Now, this one started making the scene. I think Albert Hainsworth tweeted about it. Like, yes. Like, people thought it was done based on Big Al's tweet.
He sure made it. And just because it was Big Al, you know, he was like, yep, this is happening. Big Al.
Big Al. Hey, Big Al is a Titan and a Vol. He wanted this to happen. This is from CBS.
Bad man.
That single year of destruction in his contract year, a defensive lineman to cause as much chaos as he did.
I'd never seen anything like that before in my life.
No, I ain't either.
Every time I see him, I give him a hug and say, hey, man, I was in the league and I saw you do something. I've never seen a D tackle have that kind of impact on a game. I've never seen nothing like it. And live. Like, we were watching it every week. He was in destruction mode. And he really kind of did it the year before.
Yep.
We caught the last half. It was like, uh-oh. And then the next year, like, wow. This guy, he was wrecking. Oh, man, it was incredible. I've never seen it. Here, I'm going to say this, and I've said it before. In a 1-year span, Albert Hainsworth was the best defensive player ever to put on a Titans uniform. The best defensive player to ever do it consistently, time in and time out, is Keith Bullock, KB, over the years. So you got to have sustainability, availability, and then play it at a high level.
For 1 year, though?
1 year he was. Now, mind you now, I play with the freak.
Yeah.
I play with the freak. I mean, he's right there for the 1 year, but I got to give it to Albert. He was wrecking with grown 300-pound man. I mean, he was wrecking shop in the pass rush as well as in the run game.
We were talking about this one day, and I said,
it's incredible.
I said, remember,
I picked Freak two. Yeah, he's number 2 on that.
And you could put probably a couple of those Freak seasons as 2 and 3.
Yeah.
Especially his rookie year. We were talking about this one day. I said, do you remember
who I play with?
There was somebody that Albert, he just tackled him too hard, and they flagged him. They didn't even have a description for it. And Mike Keith was listening and texted me and said, it was Maurice Jones-Drew. He just went back and grabbed him, the little fella, and he just, like, threw him down. And that was the tackle. And they just threw a flag like, you can't do that.
Well, I mean, you don't even know what happened earlier in the game, because I always ask him about the time, Albert, and I always forget what he tells me. Like, when he stomped on the guy's head, he said that they did two things illegal to him throughout the game before that even happened.
Yeah.
And he said he just lost. It's like that was it. That was the last time that it's ever going to happen. Yeah. You know, and guys go through that. I mean, really. It's tough now. You don't step on people's head.
I mean, there is that. Yeah.
Well, but he said it was enough. It was enough. Yeah. I can't remember exactly what the things that they did to him, but it wasn't too good.
He stomped on that guy.
He says, I'm going to finish this.
He did. He finished it. Ooh. He got his day finished.
Glad he's doing healthy, too, by the way. Albert Hainsworth, one of the handful of guys that play for the Vols as well as the Titans.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Play college and pro in the same state. So here you go. Derek Barnett. This is out there. CBS is proposing potential trades. Here's one of them. Derek Barnett, who's a free agent after this year for a 2022 conditional 3rd-round pick. Doesn't lay out what the conditions are, that he'd have to get this many sacks or play this many snaps. It doesn't say, but a conditional 3rd-round pick. Derek Barnett, he is still only 25 years old. He has 19 and a half career sacks. He's in the final year of his rookie deal. Derek Barnett. Conditional 3rd-round pick.
All right, so explain to me, why would you do this pick outside of this season? Do you think you got a shot for next year because his contract is going to be up. So you're trading up a pick, but you're also giving up that, hey, man, I'm going to lose that pick, and I'm also may lose this as a player. Now, I like the idea in the rotation, and now you don't have to, keep Dupree's snaps to 30, 35.
Right.
And then now you can rotate him in, and then you have him so he can finally heal up and get better. Then you have the impact that you want him to have. So I like the idea, and he's definitely a pass rusher, and he's a blue collar. His engine does not stop. And he's a local guy. So, you get to see him.
Academy locally.
Right, yeah, you get to see
Tennessee.
him front row, and see how actually good he is.
Yeah.
And then maybe you can sign him to a modest contract. And you're thinking long term because you may not be able to afford Harold Landry after the season.
Yeah, that's
but
what
you could be able to get Bennett.
You and me were talking about
Barnett,
this before the show, and I said, the one thing I'm thinking about is he is a free agent, but he would probably be much more affordable right now than Harold Landry. He's going to name his own price.
But we can't say that, though. We can say it, but we don't know. He could come in here and get 10 sacks.
That's true. Well, that'd be a good problem to have.
Oh, yeah. That's why I like it. So I don't know. And JR loves those later round picks. He doesn't like giving those things up, because he does a great job in the later rounds for sure. So it's a tough call. Tough one.
The other proposed one, and this does not say what you would trade for this guy, but there's another thread on CBS Sports, another story for contenders only who they might trade for. Atlanta tight end Hayden Hurst. Didn't say what they would trade for him. It just listed him as he would be a good trade target for the Titans. He's in year 4 of his rookie deal. 6'4", 260. This year he has 16 catches, 138 yards, and a touchdown. He is also a free agent after the season. So dude's a former first-round pick by the Ravens.
From South Carolina.
Yeah. So this is another guy.
So we have a DB. Xavier Howard's on that list. A lot of people are saying his name, too.
Yep.
Of all those, I like the defensive end, Fred Barnett, Derrick Barnett. Fred Barnett played wide receiver.
Fred Barnett is from
Ohio State. Yeah. Wide receiver for the Eagles.
Yes.
But, yeah. Derrick Barnett. I like that idea. That's probably the only one I would be considering if I was the Titans of those three. But I've said it before. I would, I remember I asked Coach Mack about 2 weeks ago about getting a defensive end was merciless. He's like, we need the DBs. See, I see it differently. I see that we need more pass rush to make our secondary, who doesn't have any elite guys as far as cornerbacks. And we'll get some guys back healthy, too, by the way, in Fulton and Jackson. So I don't think we need anything.
And you did that against the Chiefs without Fulton, without Jackson, and without Amani Hooker.
And you still had a dude out there running around like he was a jackrabbit.
Right. And Greg Maben, who just got back here and had to relearn everybody's name.
Well, yeah.
Because they harassed the quarterback all day with 4 people.
Whatever. I'm going to say this. In one game, I like Maben over Jackrabbit. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got another year Jackrabbit under contract.
Bye-bye, Jackrabbit.
All right, we got to hop out of this segment. Mike from Franklin is on the line. He wants to weigh in on this. Mike, hold. We'll come to you even in the first segment of the next hour. We also got a question out there. Have you turned your heat on yet? Hit us up, Blaine and Mickey on Twitter. I'll give you the results of that so far. A bunch of you are cold. I can just tell you that. We'll be right back.
Friday night, it's Nashville Christian School at DCA on the 104.5 The Zone Game of the Week, presented by the Tennessee Highway Safety Office and Paul Winkler Investing. Coverage starts Friday night at 6:30 with Will Bowling and Lucas Panzica on your home for high school football. 104.5 The Zone.
and I don't like the cooked fruit in the pie, but I like the gelatinous muck and the crust.
But we do have someone talking to us and Lucas on their phone, and Lucas is going to put it up to the speaker because he doesn't know how to do it. And this way you get to see what Lucas grew up around and all the different languages that he knows, because I wouldn't be able to understand any of this. Right, Lucas? Go ahead and play it for it.
Okay, I'll see. I'm gonna see if
Italian
set it up.
This is I got a voice memo on my birthday yesterday from my aunt in Italy with my grandparents, my grandfather.
I think this is so cool.
Wishing me a happy birthday. So let's see if you can and catch them bickering at the end there as the audio cuts off here. Oh, I lost it.
What happened?
This is not working.
Why does it just stop? I mean,
We heard a tiny bit.
Io sto bene, un po' vecchietto ma sto bene, va bene. Sono tuo papà, tua mamma e tu sorella, vieni a trovarmi l'anno che viene. Ciao. Che bacio la mezza.
He just starts going at it.
this is your grandfather?
That's my grandfather, and that's my grandmother in the background, just chirping in his ear, correcting him every now and
So
then.
tell us what was said there.
Okay.
They did not bicker about your birthday because your birthday is your
it's very
birthday.
clear.
I'll be
that it
honest,
was your birthday.
in his older age, he's gotten a little harder and harder to understand. Even for my parents, it's tough, who are both very fluent in Italian. But he was saying, wishing happy birthday from Nonno Michele. That's grandfather. His name is Michele, and saying hi to my father and my mother, and then my grandmother goes, and his sister. He goes, oh, and your sister. And then he says, ciao. And she says, un bacio, like send him a kiss. And he says, I've said enough. What do you want from me?
He's a grumpy old man right now.
So I cracked up when I saw that.
That is pretty cool, man, to grow up, I wouldn't even understand any of that.
But they've been doing that since I was a little
Yes,
toddler. Ever
yes,
since
I'm
I can
saying.
remember, they've been bickering back and forth, right? These old, Italian grandparents. So it kind of warmed my heart and made me happy.
Yeah, that's pretty cool, man. Dang. And our language is easy now, Americana.
Think
Not
about
easy to learn.
think about this.
Look, he
though.
said, hear what he just said. Not easy to learn.
Yeah,
Like, how hard was it for you?
Oh, I don't know. I learned.
You was young? 'Cause
Yeah,
it was
preschool,
normal.
kindergarten, going to school is basically how I learned English. But I imagine for an adult having to learn English, it's got to be one of the hardest languages in the world, right? Because there's so many words that we say that we use in different ways that are the same words.
like
that
train
that
and
confuses
train.
people.
Yes.
Train, that's a perfect example. That would blow someone's
Or
mind.
here or here.
Yes, or Colonel, or Island. What? Everything you've told me is out the window here,
There's so
Colonel.
much of it just Latin is very straightforward, right? Like a lot of it, of these Latin-based languages, it just means one word. And in English, it's so many words that just mean two different things and they're spelled differently. It's got to drive people nuts.
The things that trip people up on Twitter who've been speaking it their whole
come
lives.
on, Americans can't do
right,
it.
yeah.
Americans can't do it. So here's the thing: we got a lot.
Everything short.
It's like the mound scene in Bull Durham. We've got a lot going on here. Michael and Franklin called in at the end of the last hour because CBS Sports and Jordan Dajani, who's with CBS Sports, is going to join us in just a few minutes in segment 2. They've got 2 potential trades. One is for Derrick Barnett, the former Tennessee Vol, who's been with the Eagles. There's a potential trade, a third-round pick for him. So that's out there. And then the other thing is there's a potential trade the Titans, because a bunch of y'all wanted another tight end. There's a potential trade that they would get Hayden Hurst of Atlanta. Now, it doesn't say what they would trade for him, but just mention him as a potential trade target that CBS Sports thought made sense. Again, Derrick Barnett for a third rounder.
But let me tell you why I know everybody gets infatuated because we had a really good tight end. I get it. We our tight end now is Julio Jones. And when I say that, I'm talking about targets. Doesn't matter what position you actually play.
Right.
We lost John, who was, some games he was started a lot, some games not, depending on if we had Lawan out there or how the game plan was. So you only have so many, passes you can throw. So when you have 2 elite receivers, I think the tight end is always going to be on the back burner unless you have an elite tight end. Right. See, so all these guys are productive players. They're not elite tight ends, and that's okay. I'm okay with Ferguson and Pruitt and whoever, Swain. That's fine. We have 2 big studs, and we got, 3 or 4 other guys that are good role players, from Rodgers to Reynolds to whoever, Johnson to whoever you want. Yeah, that are solid players. So I think I am fine without an elite tight end. And that's why I keep going there. Unless you get a Kyle Pitts type of player, you don't you don't trade. And when I say that, more pass receiving.
Right.
Pass receiving, elite tight end, a Graham or somebody in their younger years.
Right.
Then I'm cool with just serviceable, solid, good tight ends in this league. So that's just me and my thought process. Reason why the tight end, unless you have a elite one, is just a chain mover. Yeah. It's not a game breaker. They're not going to decide if you win or lose games. But that elite receiver will, that elite running back will, that elite quarterback will. But the tight end, unless you get an elite one, is it going to make any difference, in this league today?
Let's get
my thoughts.
Blaine Bishop's thoughts. You've been consistent with those thoughts the whole time. Even when people freaked out as soon as Johnny, you never freaked out.
You don't have to have elite players at every position.
Right. Let's get Mike in Franklin who wants to weigh in. Mike, thanks hey, you have to answer a question from us, though, first. Do you have your heat on yet?
All right. Hey, this is Philly Mike who lives in Franklin. But Derrick Barnett, I've been following the Eagles all my life. He had a great rookie year, helped us win the Super Bowl. After that, he really hasn't had that same motor that he had his first year. So if I'm the Titans, I will be very careful if I decided to bring him on board with the Titans. And also, Blaine, you guys did a great job on Sunday during the pregame, and you guys were talking about Randall Cunningham and that great play he made on Monday Night Football against the Giants. The guy who tried to tackle him was Carl Banks. You guys were naming
58.
It was Carl Banks who hit him. Randall did the plastic man deal, threw the touchdown pass, sidearm to Jimmy Giles for the touchdown. And Carl Banks, I remember, I was sitting in the end zone, took his helmet off and threw it 20 yards down the field, man. Crazy play.
Hey, Mike.
That was.
Before we let you go, you still there?
Yeah.
Do you have your heat on yet?
Have you turned it on?
Have you turned it on yet in your house?
And turn it back off,
No, I'm fine, man. I've been down here 2 years, so, I'm fine. I'm fine. I love Tennessee. The company moved me from Philly down here for work in sales, and I love the area, man. So glad to be down here. So I cheer for my Eagles, but I also cheer for the Titans. So I'm allowed to have an AFC team too.
Cool. Hey, now how was Barnett's health when he was there after that first year?
He was Blaine. It looked like he had, after winning a title, it seemed like he had done his job. Didn't come in the next year like a lot of other Eagles. They didn't come in as in shape as they should, and they rested on their laurels, and they just haven't been the same.
Okay.
Mike, thank you, man. Appreciate the phone call.
That's good info right there.
Yeah, inside info from Philly.
Yeah, that's not good info. I mean, good for Barnett. Because if he's saying that and he's watching them religiously every game as a fan, man, I can't imagine what the people are saying that's watching tape. And that's what it matters. Now, sometimes you can get rejuvenated, especially when I'm coming home.
Right.
Right.
This is home for him.
Yeah, so you just never know. And that's why you'll be leery to give up a pick. You say, let's wait and see what they do with him or see where he goes, or maybe they'll cut him and we can pick him up for free. Don't have to give up anything. Because they're going to transition. They may even ask the coach after 1 year, man, the way it's going down here in Philly.
It does not look good. Yeah. His sack totals, he got 5 in 2017 as a rookie. He got 2.5 in only 6 games the next year. Played 14 games in 2019. He got 6.5. That's the best he's done. He played 13 games last year. He got 5.5. This year he's played 7 games. He has 0 sacks. He has 25 tackles. He has 2 tackles for loss and 6 quarterback hits, Derrick Barnett.
Now, what I was going to say until you said the 0, I was thinking Harold Landry the whole way, the whole time. That's kind of how it looked. And then he, finally it clicked. And see, a lot of people going to say he's been chasing the money. I feel like he's the same guy.
Yeah.
He's just kind of got more opportunities to close the deal. Maybe better coverage to hold on for that extra little second.
Maybe.
I mean, so, it plays a part. So good for him. There's some warning signs here.
And he's playing 68% of the snaps. He's playing quite a bit.
It's not like he's not playing.
No, this is the second most percentage of snaps he's ever played in his career.
I probably, I hate to say it, but, man, I don't think I'd be giving up anything for that. If I'm JR, thinking how JR thinks he loves and values those later picks, no way. I'm going to trade. Just think of how this is going to play out in the media. I'm going to trade a 5th-round pick for a guy who has 0 sacks.
Yeah.
That doesn't sound good.
Oh, the proposed trade is a 3rd rounder.
Oh, no.
3.
No way. No way. That is impossible. Sorry. Love you, Derrick, but no can do.
Cousin P wants to weigh in on all this. We got time to take one more phone call before Jordan Dajani. Thanks for calling the Mark Spain Real Estate Hotline on Blaine and Mickey, Cousin P.
Hey, guys. Well, I didn't get to ask the question, but no.
Oh, the
heat
heat
turned on.
You have not
In
turned
my
the
house,
heat on?
Guess
Okay.
what?
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Heat's not turned on, man. In my house growing up, you put on clothes, and that was your heat. So heat will not be turned on.
Yeah, mine too, by the way. But now that I can control the thermometer, just for a quick hour, then that got me right where I need to be.
Hey, you know what, though? I guess some habits are hard to break.
They are. Like, I still haven't gotten over cleaning my plate. I still want to clean my plate, even though I'm full.
Me too.
Exactly. So just really quickly, guys, I honestly believe that this Titans team is a cornerback away. With a healthy Christian Fulton, I think we're a cornerback away from a true Super Bowl run. I'm really looking at Xavier Howard. I really would like. You kind of got to go with it and give the Miami Dolphins what they want. And I think this is a guy that could really transform it. Plus, you know what? It gets Janoris Jenkins, not Jack Rabbit, but Janoris Jenkins off the freaking field. The guy looks lost. It's an Amber Alert every time he's on the field, man. I'm telling you, he's a lost child out there, guys.
Yeah.
I'll hang up and listen, man, but thank you.
Thank you, Cousin B.
Yeah. I remember Coach Mack was pushing him. I was like, there's a reason why he's out there. I watched him in the Saints. He was just okay. He got, as much as he made plays, he got toasted or got a penalty. So I wouldn't be if you're going to get an elite one, but with that trade, you have to redo his deal a little bit. I think you got to give him, what was he making, $14 million? You're going to have to give
something like that, yeah,
for him to be happy because he was going to hold out. Yeah.
Right.
And then he's better than Byron Jones, the guy they signed from the Cowboys. He's like, you gave him what?
Yeah. I was already here.
My name starts with an X.
Yeah.
That means I shut people down. But this guy's a really good player. I put him up there. He's in my top 10.
What would you? Well, let's hit this on the other side because Luke is going to be in our ear. We got to take a break. On the other side, what would you trade for him? You got a little bit of time here to think about it. Then we'll get Jordan Dajani on, and we'll ask him what would he trade for Xavier Howard. All right, we got to give away first though. I got it, Lucas.
Yeah,
Lucas is talking to me because he says there is a giveaway, and I've got it. Here it is. It's a big race weekend at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway for the All-American 400. Kid Rock will be the grand marshal. Thanks to our friends at Kid Rock's Big Honky Tonk and Rock and Roll Steakhouse. We want to give you a chance to win a special 2-day VIP pass for the All-American 400 this weekend at the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. That includes passes for Saturday and Sunday with premium seating. How about them apples? Party deck access and pit tours if you want to win. And I know that you do. The caller 5 now, 615-737-1045.
The 3HL with Brett Doherty, Don Davenport, and Ron Slay.
Here's the deal. We're so spoiled because we watch Derrick Henry every single weekend, and we forget how freaking fast that dude
No, and what did I say all season on these videos?
Derrick Henry, I believe, slowed down a little bit too in order to give him the stiff arm. Then when he saw it, he was like, darn, dude.
And it was like swatting a flea.
I'll go bunk over that.
Today, starting at 3 on 104.5 The Zone.
What's the definition of insanity? It's doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Well, that's a bunch of y'all out there with your power washer and your sticky little paint roller and that big can of goo that you roll on your driveway or your deck or your patio every couple of years, or you put some kind of coating on your fence. And here you are looking out the window today thinking, that looks terrible. It's all busted up and broken up and the wood's rotten in this. Look, there's a product called EverSeal. You've been sealing, and the problem is you need to be EverSealing. EverSeal covers all those things outside, weatherproof, sunproof, hailproof, cold, hot. It's proof of all that and proof that you need to be calling EverSeal today. So here's the thing. They clean their surface like it's never been cleaned, and then they seal it like it's never been sealed with an industrial-strength product that works on the stuff at your house. Heck, if you live in a log cabin, it can even be covering your whole house. You want more information, you can go to ever-seal.com. By the way, it's got a 25-year manufacturer back to guarantee. 25 years. 25 years. Or
speaking Italian, so I thought I was on the wrong station. But glad we're back on track here.
Well, Lucas is our show's linguist, so anytime we can try to teach people Italian or Portuguese or anything else that Lucas speaks, we try to do that. All right, what about the language of trades? Let's start with this because I challenged Blaine before we took the break, and I said Jordan's going to be on this too. Jordan Dajani, our guest from CBS Sports right now. There are not one, but two different trade scenarios for the Titans on two different articles on your mothership of CBS Sports. One is for Hayden Hurst, the tight end, and it doesn't say what the Titans are trade, but it says that's a guy they could target as a trade. He's currently with the Falcons. He's at the end of his rookie deal. The other one is a local guy, Derrick Barnett, who they said, a third-round pick would be what they would trade for Derrick Barnett. But then we had a caller who said, guys, let's don't forget about this. The Xavier Howard thing is still out there, that he might be a potential trade target. So I asked Blaine this, and I'll ask you, what would you trade for him right now to get him on your team?
Yeah, that's a good question, and it's really tough because I know at his best he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, no doubt about it, but it seems like every offseason he's trying to renegotiate a contract that he signed the offseason prior, and I feel like that's something that, his new team, if he is traded, is going to continue to have to deal with. But the Dolphins are going to want a pretty penny in return for him. I would expect something like a first-round pick. As a GM, I don't think that's something I would do. I mean, it'd be a really sexy move, but I think I brought this up last time I was on with you guys. I think ESPN's Bill Barnwell was kind of ahead on this, and he said that the Titans should make a move for Xavier Howard and offer up a first. So that's obviously a really pretty penny to give away, and it's not something that I think I'd do.
Well, I want to add this real quick to just on this part about Xavier Howard is he was a second rounder, if I can recall. So does it happen often that a guy that was a second, third rounder gets a first-round pick in a trade?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. I mean, if a guy turns out to be a legitimate star in this league, I mean, obviously he's going to go for yeah, exactly. He's going to go for that high price tag. So, historically, I'm not sure. There's nothing that's coming off the top of my head at this point in time. I'd have to go back and look. But no matter what round you're drafted in, if you emerge into one of the best at your position and you prove it in, year out, then obviously you can go for that kind of price tag. And, even though he's had these squabbles kind of internally with his organization and maybe some injury stuff as well, he's been able to maintain a certain level of success on the field. But the Dolphins defense as a whole has taken a step backwards this season. That's something to keep an eye on. And, just with this contract situation, I do feel like there's some kind of legs to maybe Xavier Howard getting moved. But again, the biggest holdup would probably be the price tag. What exactly Miami wants in return?
Yeah, I saw that he in 2019 signed 5-year, $75 million. So that puts him right around, $15 million or so a year. And if you want to renegotiate that, I definitely wouldn't be doing that if I'm John Robinson. But let's add to the one that, with Derrick Barnett, kind of what are your thoughts on there? With 0 sacks, I don't know if would you make that trade if you're a GM? I mean, how's that going to fly? And you give up a 5th, 6th rounder for, or I don't even know maybe what they're saying he's worth, but at this point in time, even for a local kid.
I mean, a 5th or 6th would be fine. I would probably consider that deal, but he's probably going to go for more than that. I was actually just talking to my buddy Cody Benjamin, who penned that article. I told him I was going to talk about him on the radio. But here's my biggest holdup with the potential Derrick Barnett trade. Yes, he's a Vol. A lot of people are familiar with him and him up and coming into a professional player. Here's my biggest thing, though. Where's the fit? There's no fit here with the Titans. I mean, he's going from a 4-3 defense to a 3-4. There's a lot of people who won't overreact to that changing of systems, but I'm one of the ones who kind of does. I mean, a 4-3 defensive end is a lot different in my mind than a 3-4 pass rusher, outside linebacker hybrid. Now, you can kind of scheme around that, obviously, and Kobe also told me that the Eagles have been standing him up just a little bit more, which obviously reminds you more of a 3-4 pass rusher. But I truly believe Derrick Barnett is a 4-3 defensive end, pass rushing from that spot in the defense. So that is my biggest holdup when it comes to a potential trade to Tennessee.
Well, one person who could give us a lot of insight on Derrick Barnett, he's with the Titans coaching staff. It's Jim Schwartz, who was the DC.
Yeah.
So he would know better than most what he can do in this defense. So, yeah, make it.
Our guy Jordan Dajani joining us from CBS Sports. So let's ask you this. In your office pool at CBS Sports, did you have the Titans beating the Bills and then completely annihilating the Chiefs, both happening within a span of 6 days on your calendar?
Flex.
No chance. I bet there were some people in our CBS pool that had them covering the spread. But what happened on Sunday, I don't think anyone could predict at all. I mean, that was absolutely astounding to watch. Thankfully, I took Tennessee on the spread, so they covered that with ease, obviously. But, when it comes to that matchup, there's so many things you can take away from both teams. It's not a game where you can say this says more about the Chiefs than it does the Titans. You can really talk about both when it comes to what happened at Nissan Stadium on Sunday. I mean, for Patrick Mahomes, that's the largest loss of his career. Regular or postseason, 24-point differential. It snapped the streak of 31 straight games with a touchdown pass. That was previously the 9th longest in NFL history. He's now leading the NFL in interceptions. When I was watching him from the press box on Sunday, he looked a little bit spazzed out, frenetic in the pocket, right? It didn't look like the Patrick Mahomes we have grown to understand and love. He looked like he was a little jumpy in the pocket. Credit Tennessee's front seven for putting pressure on him all game, but he was noticeably inaccurate. It didn't look like the same Patrick Mahomes, and, I think that he's been pressing. I think he's been trying too hard to make things happen outside the pocket, in the pocket, stepping up, trying to be aggressive, going down the field. And, it all really hit a climax on Sunday, it seems like. So if you weren't worried about the Chiefs yet, then you probably are now.
Jordan Dajani, our guest from CBS Sports, talking all things NFL.
Well, Jordan, man, I had no idea he was so defiant. That is Mike Tomlin, that he was not interested in any college job. So I said, man, let me go look up his salary. I said, man, you never close the door on anything, even if you're with a great organization, you just don't put it out there like that, because he made me believe him. And after I looked up his salary, I did believe him. I didn't know he was making $8 million. As the head coach, because, now college head coaches, if you're an elite one, you're making more than most NFL head coaches. When I saw the $8 million figure, there's no chance, do you think, that Mike Tomlin leaves and takes the USC job or any college job?
Yeah, I don't think there's any legs to this. I mean, I'm sure USC would love to have Mike Tomlin, but, when that report came out, I didn't believe it at all. I think that Mike Tomlin really likes the Steelers organization, especially with how loyal they are to their head coaches.
Mm-hmm.
They just don't part ways with guys. That's a true family up there in Pittsburgh, and I think he's really settled in. Now, of course, they're lacking on-field success this season, but next year I assume that they'll be looking for a new starting quarterback potentially, and that's obviously an exciting new chapter that Mike Tomlin's going to be able to author up there with the Steelers. So, things aren't going well right now. Maybe that's a reason that these USC rumors leaked out that Mike Tomlin could be a potential candidate. Again, I just don't believe it. I think that Tomlin's pretty settled in with the Steelers.
I'm gonna give you a compound question here, Jordan Dajani, with NFL writer for CBS Sports, and that is, are the Bengals for real? And give me your top 3 AFC teams.
Yeah, the Bengals, man, for real is a very subjective phrase, right? But man, I went back and watched the film yesterday against the Ravens, and we knew that Joe Burrow was probably going to evolve into that top echelon of quarterbacks, a top 15 guy at least, and I think we've seen that. We know Jamar Chase has been he's going to win the Offensive Rookie of the Year in my mind. He's probably a shoo-in for that.
Mm-hmm.
He's absolutely incredible. But I think the biggest thing is the defense. Like, the Bengals have spent a lot of money over the past couple of off seasons trying to shore up that side of the ball on defense. And, I think they're all 3 levels, they're really playing on the same page. And they were able to make Lamar Jackson uncomfortable, not just with the pressure that they put on him, but also with what they were doing in the secondary as well. And that led to a subpar performance from a legitimate MVP candidate. So, they're tied for that number 1 seed in the AFC right now. I think they are a playoff team. I think they are getting better and better. So by that standards, I guess you have to say that they are for real. Now, for my top 3 AFC teams, if you will, even after their loss to Tennessee on Monday night, I still really like the Buffalo Bills. I think I might put them at number 1. Number 2, even with the loss, again, the Baltimore Ravens, I think that the defense had a poor showing. I thought Lamar Jackson is better than the guy he showed to be on the field on Sunday. The Ravens are going to be fine. They're a legitimate contender in the AFC. Now, for my 3rd spot, that's really tough because I think at this point I'm going to lean there and I'm going to put the Tennessee Titans up there. I think that we saw the offense turn over a new leaf. You know, people that were hypothesizing this could be a pick-your-poison offense, and we saw glimpses of that on Sunday with the passing attack and also with, of course, Derrick Henry, who's a legitimate MVP candidate. And the defense, you can't look over this defense anymore, even if they don't have, you know, household names in the secondary. This pass rush is helping them out a lot. They held Patrick Mahomes and company to just 3 points, and that says a lot. So at this point, I'm going to lean to the Titans at number 3, but man, the Bengals are not far behind.
I guess one more. We had Thursday Night Football and a lot of COVID issues there for Green Bay versus Arizona. Who you got?
I'll lose you guys. You still there?
Oh, yeah. I said we got the Thursday Night Football game with Arizona and Green Bay. A lot of COVID issues for Green Bay, but how do you think this is going to play out?
Yeah. Sorry, I guess I fell off for a sec. I mean, this game was going to be so fun to watch, but then, of course, COVID-19 reared its ugly head, and it almost feels like we're just handing the best record in the NFL on a silver platter to the Arizona Cardinals, right? I mean, I was excited to see them take on the Browns, but the Browns have a lot of injury issues, and Baker Mayfield obviously wasn't healthy. Credit to the Cardinals, of course, because they were able to still win even without a head coach and a lot of COVID issues as well. And then I was really eyeing this Thursday night spot as maybe an opportunity for them to take their first loss. But then again, I mean, the defensive coordinator's out with COVID. Devontae Adams is out. Alan Lazard, who is a player I like, is out. I mean, you can never rule out the Packers as long as Aaron Rodgers is under center. But this line moved, you know, it like tripled itself. Now the Cardinals are touchdown favorites over the Packers, and for good reason, because they're missing so many important pieces. So, you know, I'm still excited to watch, but I'm not as excited as I was when the Packers were at full strength.
We're on with Jordan Dajani, NFL writer for CBS Sports.
Hey, Jordan, let's play deal or no deal. Deshaun Watson getting moved or not?
Yeah, it's a good question. In my mind, I'm going to say no. I know there's been a lot of hype over the past couple of days, a lot of reports coming to the surface. You know, Roger Goodell spoke yesterday, and, you know, there's all these reports coming out that the Dolphins and the Texans have potentially agreed to terms, but the Dolphins are waiting on, you know, to see if the NFL is going to hand down punishment. I don't know how accurate those reports are because John McClain came out and said that the Dolphins are still wary of what the legal proceedings are going to be with Deshaun Watson. So despite all that noise that probably makes it seem like a trade is coming down the line, and it is very possible, but in my mind, I don't think Deshaun Watson is going to be moved.
What do you think about how the NFL is handling the Washington football email mess? I mean, you know, we've talked about this a little bit. So only one guy sent bad emails, and it's John Gruden, and so he gets fired, but nothing else was bad. So just nothing to see here. Move along. It kind of seems like that's what Goodell is saying. Just keep it moving.
It's terrible. Yeah, I mean, this whole thing was a sham from the very start. Like, because I stick pretty closely to the Washington football team beat. So this past offseason, I was obviously keeping up with the investigation and the findings that were going to come from that. And it was pretty shocking. I mean, it was a national story, but it wasn't as big of a story as I anticipated it being, that there was no written report. You know, it seemed like those who orchestrated the investigation went behind closed doors and told the NFL exactly what they found, and then that was kind of it. There was no written report. So, you know, now we have the whatever it is, Congressional Oversight Committee, things in politics that I definitely don't understand, coming in and asking the NFL to hand over results from their investigation. Well, guess what? What do they have to hand over? There was no written report. I guess they can give you a million different emails and correspondence that they took note of during the course of this quote-unquote investigation. But there's going to be nothing that is a bullet point, you know, points of this investigation in terms of the findings. The Congressional Oversight Committee is going to have to go through all the material themselves and come to a conclusion that they want to if this whole thing comes to fruition. So it's been a mess. And, you know, it's crazy that the NFL, the owners' meetings is happening right now. Everyone's talking about it. We saw the Raiders owner, Davis, kind of punch back today saying that, you know, I think there should be a written report on what happened in Washington. And he has a right to feel that way because it's ridiculous that the one negative thing that comes out of this investigation, other than a fine for the Washington football team, were emails 10 years ago for John Gruden saying inappropriate things. I mean, there was definitely more that should have come from that quote-unquote investigation. So it's pretty messy. And the worst part is I don't know if we're going to have, you know, a legitimate feasible conclusion that we can, sink our teeth into when we feel like everything's okay after this. I don't think that's coming down the line.
Jordan Dajani, CBS Sports, hanging out here on Blaine and Mickey.
Well, lastly, before we let you go, Jordan, how do you see the Titans versus Colts in Indy playing out?
Yep.
I'm excited for this game. I think it's one of the more underrated matchups here in Week 8 because the Colts have been playing very good ball as of late. It was a kind of a funny stat. Carson Wentz has yet to throw an overhanded interception. So, his one pick came on a shovel pass earlier in the season against the Rams. So he's playing pretty good football. And, even with the tough weather that they had to go through against San Fran last week, they were able to come out with a win, and Carson Wentz threw the ball pretty well, even in driving range. Michael Pittman is a guy to watch out for. That they like to run the ball a lot. Jonathan Taylor as well. This is a pretty solid offense, and I think they're solid on the defensive side of the ball as well. So, coming off of the Bills matchup, Mike Vrabel said we need to find a way to get this team, back on solid ground. We can't be too high going into this matchup against the Chiefs. And even though they're not on a short week anymore, they still have to have that same mentality where, hey, we got a divisional game coming up here on Halloween, and we have to show up on the road, or the narrative around us and our season is definitely going to change. And we gotta stay the course here. And I think the players did a really good job in terms of giving that message away to reporters after the Chiefs game. So this is going to be a very tough matchup. I'm excited to watch. We're going to see if Carson Wentz is the real deal, or we're going to see if the Titans are truly one of the best teams in the AFC.
Agreed. Can't wait. Halloween, too, going to be a lot of fun. Jordan Dajani, you can catch all of his stuff at cbssports.com or on Twitter at Jordan Dajani. Thank you, Jordan. Appreciate the time.
Hey, thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Have a good show.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Jordan.
All right, when we come back, John Glennon, who practiced today, who didn't, that information is out, and we will hit you with that. Also, Jake from Gallatin wants to talk. Little Titans, it looks like. Mike Vrabel. Hold on, Jake. We will get to you after the break. Blaine and Mickey, 104.5 The Zone.
The Packers and Cardinals start your NFL weekend on Thursday night. Coverage starts tomorrow night at 7 on your home for Thursday night football. 104.5 The Zone.
Nobody throws a party better than Nashville, right? How are you?
So what I wanted to call about was Coach Vrabel, and I wanted to comment on the team too. It seems like, there was a switch that got flicked. I don't know if it was the 11th man or the fans, or if it was just the Titans maybe came out, a little slow because, they've been off season and they've been practicing stuff. But, man, the Titans look really, really, really good now, and the speed and execution of their plan is just phenomenal. And it's exciting to watch them. And I myself and probably a lot of people in life, have said, people have told them, well, you can't do this, you ain't going to make it, you can't do this. But I want to go out on the line and say the Titans can't go to the Super Bowl. I'm saying that. And let's see what happens, just to maybe spice them up a little bit. Now, as for Coach Vrabel, if you look at all the other coaches on the sideline when you're watching the games, I think Vrabel has the most class and looks like the only NFL real coach that's in the NFL right now. And I hope to see him in a Coach's Hall of Fame someday. He's a classy guy. So that's all I'm going to say. 11th man, jump in there.
Okay. That's a lot going on with that call. Vrabel in the Coach's Hall of Fame.
Yeah, then he said that they're not going to the Super Bowl. I really want to ask him, had he ever turned on his heat so far this year? Because he'd be like, what the heck are you talking about, Blaine?
Hey, man, no, that's not what I call to talk about. Don't interrupt me. I call to talk about Mike Vrabel.
Oh, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, actually, Vrabel shows a little bit of his facial expressions early in the game were, I think he was a little baffled at some of the things that were going on in this game. So I took it as like, okay, let's stay stoic and positive, but it was more like, what his face said, what the heck are you doing? A couple times that he's talking to the guy on the headphones, like, did you see what he did? We went over this 5 times, and he still didn't do it right. That's how it sounded. It looked to me, so. But after that, it was pretty cool after the first couple quarters.
We will get to the Who Practice tweet from John Glenn. And we do have a side topic today. You can go to Blaine and Mickey Twitter. By the way, follow us on Twitter if you haven't. Appreciate everybody who has. At Blaine and Mickey, our names with the word "and" in the middle. Have you turned on the heat yet in your house yet? It's a simple question. Have you turned on the heat in your house yet? Lucas has not answered this. He has been standing far away from the microphone today.
You can
as
see
if he
who
doesn't
answered.
want to admit that he and his roommate are basking in the glory of their heat right now.
Nope.
No?
Everything's off.
Everything.
He's saving on all bills.
They had the water turned
Damn
on.
right.
Okay.
My mom is so hardcore on temperature doesn't go above this or doesn't go below this in the summer. So no, heat. Everything is off right now. Maybe in a month or two. We just moved into a new place where we couldn't find the second thermostat. And so we turned it off.
Said we couldn't find it.
The AC was on, and we turned it off on once. Okay, we're good. But they're like, why is cold air still coming out of every vent? We are freezing in here. And we found it, like, tucked behind a TV somewhere.
Fantastic.
So I don't know how much money we've spent on that.
Have you turned the heat on in your house yet? Yes, 43.9%. No, 56.1% have not turned on the heat. Some responses. Michael says, my 3-year-old daughter sleeps upstairs, and the upstairs has its own unit. So technically, yes, I turned it on for her. I'm keeping it at 69. Bart said, yes, that 42 degrees got us last night. Plus, we wanted to get the first heater burn out of the way that smells like torched hair. And Kim says,
I got that out the way, too. I did do that for about an hour and a half.
And Kim says, it's on 67, not as high as you, Blaine. You said 70 earlier.
Oh, yeah, I did. I went to 70. I wanted to get it, turn on the fireplace. I was like, man, I had to go put a jacket on. And I was like, oh, man, I got to do it. And I like it freezing. Like, I turned our thermostat. As much as I said I turned it up to 70 when I was going to bed, right before, like an hour before, air conditioned, 65.
Oh.
Every night, got to have it.
Does Mama like that?
Even when it's cool.
Does Mama sign off on that?
Yeah, Mama has no choice because then I set her up so she can feel the heat wave from me. Yeah. And so she'll want to cuddle up nice and cuddly right next to her baby. Yeah.
Man.
So it's all set up, man. Yeah, it's all the setup, man. You got to have it planned out, Mickey.
The image is in my mind right now. Come on over here to Daddy. Not practiced on Wednesday, not spotted by John Glenn and Julio Jones, A.J. Brown, Chris